There's a conspiracy theory against us. Blah, 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 blah.
Will you be suing the Premier League as opposed to a club?
When you get high-profile cock-ups like this,
The most desperate element of it all is hello, folks. Welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. We were just talking just before we started. That weekend started so well. Both Manchester clubs lost, and Villa battered Brighton. It was so much fun, and it was like setting up to be the biggest weekend of the season, just results-wise. It turned out to be the biggest weekend of the season for entirely different reasons, and it's an ever-evolving situation that we unfortunately have to talk about. But if you're just straight from the off, if you're here, and I've already said this on Twitter, if you're here to look for like the snappy, ranty takes, and if you're looking for me as a Liverpool fan to go, oh, there's a conspiracy theory against us, blah 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 blah, you're gonna be disappointed. And I don't know, Fergal and Harry are here. I found the most annoying, well, kind of most desperate element of it all is the whataboutery of it. Is like, oh, we've also had these set of decisions go against us by this specific referee in this specific minute of this specific game in that specific season. And it's like an example from 4 or 5 years ago. And people like coming up with research papers on the amount of points Liverpool lost against each individual like referee. And it's desperate. It's so desperate. It's so boring before anything else. It's so desperate for copium. I don't know how else to put it. But we have to talk about the situation as a whole, and this is like this is the 7th episode of the season, and we've talked about referees all previous 6 times, I feel like. But we've never seen it be this bad. Like, we've seen bad decisions taken via VAR, but we've never seen a legitimate goal get given as a goal and then like not get translated as such.
I didn't get given as goal. It did get flagged as offside.
It was flagged as offside, but you know, it's been rinsed and repeated.
Yeah.
But before we move on, just to like give you the lineup of the rest of the episode, we're gonna talk about that as quickly as we can. Then Brighton lost to Villa 6-1, and my 5th place prediction is looking really good. Just in case you missed that result, Manchester clubs both lost, and Everton lost their easiest game of the season. So we're obviously gonna want to cover all that. Liverpool, Tottenham. Fergal, you were gonna say something there. Sorry, cut you off.
I like Liverpool. Like all the times Klopp was actually given off, and gone mental. This is the one time where he actually stayed calm. Strangely enough, I don't know if it was maybe he knew he didn't need to go over the top with what he was saying. Like it was so blatant that Liverpool have been shafted there. That offside decision, I just don't get it. I don't get. I honestly don't understand like why they made the decision so quickly. The camera angles are fairly clear. Like you definitely need to draw the lines, but you could get to the decision or see that it was closer than it looks very quickly. So I don't know how that's happened, and then I don't know why couldn't they just bring it back, even if the game was kicked off. Like let's say they've made the mistake, and then they've seen another couple of replays. Could they not just still bring it back? I like even at halftime, I was thinking like, would it not have been? Would it like it's still a bad situation, but not have been better to actually come out of the halftime and be like goal given 2-1. We're starting half at 2-1. Like, is that not actually a better outcome for? Although it feels wrong. Is that not a better outcome? Because there was talk at halftime that they were that this apology was already in the works,
Yeah,
and it was gonna come out. So like by halftime, they knew there was something wrong with the game. Why not just give a goal? It's definitely not right, but it would feel like a better way of doing it than just completely not giving Liverpool the goal, in my
because of
opinion.
protocol, Fergal. I don't know why I have a Sharpie in my hand. Because protocol. And
Well,
yeah, I said last week, didn't I, that everything is protocol now, and referees aren't given the room to think. I think it's also because the issue with actually having referees sign up to be referees and then carry on, so you really end up with no refereeing talent whatsoever. So you have way too many helping hands required, and that's not an English problem. This is a worldwide problem with probably all of sports. Is that you need too many helping hands to be able to carry on your job properly, as the rule books say. And because it's such a integral part of the job that if something goes wrong, costs millions upon millions of dollars for businesses, which is why Liverpool are, I've put out that statement and are considering elevating the situation. It's because it's a business, and this goal would have. We don't know what the outcome of the game would have been, but we would have been ahead. So who knows
and
what the result would be?
Spurs weren't playing great in that second half.
Yeah. Regardless of all of that, we don't know what would have happened after the goal.
Yeah.
Spurs may or may not have played as well as they did, or as badly as they did in the second half. But because the integrity of the result is gone, Liverpool are now considering their possibly legal options, because it's something that will cost them the league title at the end of the season if it happens, potentially. So as a business, I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying that because refereeing decisions are crucial to the outcome of the game, that it, like, now that we have VAR, the scrutiny has become way too much for the ability of any referee to handle, given the current crop.
Yeah.
I don't think it will ever work.
There's just the fact that they haven't properly drawn the line, so it's not even like they've made this decision or made a mistake. Their mistake was not looking at it closely and assessing
That's what
what they have
baffles
properly,
me.
and that's why it feels really, really bad.
Yeah.
And there is kind of precedent for like getting money. It's usually from another club though. Like was it Sheffield United got money from West Ham whenever they got relegated because Tevez was an illegal transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you're a good lawyer, you can make a case that it's a similar sort of issue, although you'd be suing the Premier League as opposed to a club. But yeah, what's worse for Liverpool as well is that the two red cards are arguably not red cards. The first yellow for Jota it doesn't look like a yellow card. The red card for Curtis Jones, or was it Curtis Jones?
Yeah.
Curtis Jones, really, really, really unlucky. It didn't. I could see why it's given, but I find that incredibly harsh because it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of force in that tackle after his foot hit the ball. But you have seen him given, so maybe that one's the least unlucky one. But then Jota, in fairness, Jota making that second challenge while he's on a yellow card is ridiculous.
That was stupid.
But,
I initially did have obviously watched the game as a fan of the club that's being affected, and the bias tells you, this is not even a foul. What are you doing? You got the ball. The more time passes, the more I like increasingly not have a problem with it. Like I think it's fine to be given as a red card if you give it initially, but if you give it as a yellow and then it has to be reviewed to be a red, that I have a problem with. But it was a bad tackle. It was a forwards tackle. The other one. Go on.
I give it a 0.47 on the expected injuries. I'd say, like, really borderline.
Yeah. I did say it. I don't even give it a half an expected injury. Listen for last episode for more details. We could go on. I don't want to discuss the decisions themselves in game because there's an ocean of them. Like there's many incidents of like other cards that could have been given or that ones that shouldn't have been given or ones where like on a player's wave yellow. I don't want to talk about all of that. What I do want to talk about is, or do I really want to? I feel like I have to. Is like what now? Harry, I don't know if you have any say any take on this, but like, surely
What now?
you can't be confident with anything when it comes to like just refereeing.
The trust is gone, definitely.
How do we cope? How the hell do we cope?
I think recent weeks has really put the offsides into the spotlight, given what you see as a viewer when the lines are being drawn on is potentially a misleading angle. Now, what we get is the calibration that goes on, and you kind of just have to trust that the lines are put on in the right place and they come to the right decision. And I think the problem with something like that is when you get high-profile cock-ups like this, and I think there was one last season, I think Crystal Palace Brighton it was, where they drew the line in the wrong position and like cocked it up as well. And it's sort of, I've always said that I've reached the place with the offsides, or had reached the place with the offsides, where I kind of held them in the same esteem as goal line technology. And I know that's probably not an accurate way to describe it, because goal line technology, obviously, like the goal line doesn't move. So it's quite an easy thing to obviously have the technology to do, although they still cocked that up once, in fairness to them. But it's quite an easy thing.
Hundreds of examples.
It's an easy thing to set up, right? In comparison.
It was a similar cock up in that, like, they didn't switch it on. In this case, they didn't use the lines. It was like
it was a failure in procedure, but like the actual sort of technology element of it is, it's foolproof, and you actually see a lot of the replays. Like you're able to build that trust. I think with the offsides, like you get somewhere, you just look at it. Like there was the Everton Liverpool one during COVID, I remember, which was just like ludicrous. Like you just looked at like, how the hell have they overturned that? And in fairness, like since then, it's evolved a little bit. So there is kind of a little bit more of a margin for error with the kind of thickness of the lines. I think the problem is, if you get something like this, people are going to look at other decisions that have happened recently and go, well, what about that one? Or what about that one?
And Ten Hag, whenever he was calling for the offsides a couple of weeks ago and saying like the lines didn't look right. Gary Neville was saying something similar on after the game, that like, and I feel like if people start judging even when the lines are drawn to be a potential error, the VAR is in a terrible place if like people don't even trust when the lines are drawn. I can move past that. I can look past this as like a terrible mistake, but in that the lines just weren't drawn at all. But
it's not even that. It's that there are two video assistant referee. There's a video assistant referee, and there's an video assistant referee, which has to be like more useless than a third choice goalkeeper. And the fact that both of them have failed to realize that the original decision was a offside as opposed to a goal, that's unprofessional. And that should be punished, and that should cause relegation.
This is the thing. So,
those two.
Well, we've sort of mentioned like there not being precedent for it, but there is. Like this happened last season when we played Brentford, and they forgot to draw the lines on and off. So, and this was different. It was the other way around, right? Like it was offside, and they didn't draw the line on and didn't pick it up, and that was again a failure to perform match day duties. In fairness,
exactly.
And the individual involved lost his job. Now. It's harsh, you don't like to see anyone lose their job in any walk of life, but you are talking about a league with millions and millions of pounds at stake. Like there's high consequences every time the players step on the pitch.
I don't know if like the person that made the mistake needs to be fired, but I think it's more like, what can we do to correct this? And there's already introduced the technology to help assist where an offside has occurred and help them draw the lines. Like I think it's AI that's helping do that. Like it was used at the World Cup. I think they're using it in the Champions League.
The semi-automated ones, yeah.
Yeah. So whoever decided to reject it, maybe they need sacked.
Well, it probably falls on Howard Webb.
Yeah.
Clearly, they need all the help that they can get with this as to just where to draw the lines. If I was PGMOL, like they probably shouldn't be doing this, but I just would have came out and said there was an IT error or something. We lost connection with the match because saying that they just haven't, like the line that seems to be coming out is that there was a slight panic or something in the VAR room or something to that sort of
Uh,
thing. It is crazy. We've probably talked about it enough now, Ali, have we?
I think we have, but I wanted. This is the genuine question I wanted to ask you too, very quickly. Clean slate next season. What do you do with VAR or any use of video review at all?
Well, I've said what I would do with it. I I bring in ditch the fact that actual referees have to do the VAR. Bring in three of them that vote when it comes down to is it a clear and obvious mistake? Just ask them: is that a foul? Is that a foul in the box, or is that a red card in your opinion? These nice simple questions, as opposed to is it clear and obvious? Bring in the what was it called, the partially assisted offsides, whatever the right term for that is.
Semi-automated. Yeah.
Semi-automated. Bring in that, and then when it comes to stuff like handballs, um, or like especially handballs, I think we try and strip back the rules on it, and you actually give the initiative to the referees to make the call on that just on their instinct, as opposed to, because we're getting handballs now that feel incredibly harsh and like don't feel like they're in the spirit of the game. They might be by the law of the game, but maybe not the spirit of it.
Do you know what it is for me? And I didn't sort of chime in when you talk about the red card, which on the balance probably is a red card. But it's the idea that what happens is the referee's told, right, go and have a look at this. He goes to the screen, he's presented a still of the moment of contact,
which is anti-policy, which is why Liverpool are requesting to overturn the record.
Which for me, it's kind of like, for me, when they're showing them a still and or like the handballs, or there's certain penalty decisions where you hear the audio for it, like they've done the segment of where you hear the audio. It's kind of like when you have an exam and like you're told this is the answer, show how you get to this, and it's sort of like, well, it's this inadvertent like guiding them to a decision. It's not go and take a look at this because it warrants a second opinion. It's go and take a look at this and change your mind because you're wrong. And I just think that we've kind of got this situation where they're going to the screen, you know they're going to change their mind. I mean, fans are... I've done it myself a couple of times where we've had decisions that are going to go our way, and you just know as soon as they go over that it's kind of all... It's all for show, really, because they're going to take one look and come back and make the decision.
Yeah, I think a lot of that would be ruled out with my suggestion of, like, the clear and obvious if you get 3 votes or 2 votes, whatever amount of you decide on to have in the VAR room. I think a lot of that would be cut out because it would take a really, really definite red for people for the people in the box to be like, yeah, no, that is a red, or they don't have to ask themselves, is it clear and obvious? Like, it's such a stupid question to have to
The
ask.
clear and obvious edict, I think, has like muddied the waters massively. I don't think it's made. It's like, to coin a phrase, it's not made anything clear and obvious to the viewer, to anyone taking it in. All it's done is serve to, I think, give them something to fall back on where they don't intervene with staff. Yeah. But then the second they do, they kind of re-referee the game at points as well.
Yeah.
The other thing, it should be the chat should be broadcasted just like the rugby is. Just we should be able to hear everything live.
If they end up using VAR, which I
don't think we should go back. I like the most annoying thing about this is that the offsides was one of the things I could back fully and thought that was a great idea, because there's goals in the past and you're just like, how has that been given, or how has that been chalked off? Like, we don't want to go back to that. That goal on Saturday or on Sunday, or what day was it? Saturday, was it? That was still chalked off by the linesman that was there. So things don't get better without VAR.
True.
And like it is a one in so many decisions that was in terms of the offside that has definitely gone wrong badly. So I think we have to stick with it with the offsides. The rest of it, I'd be nearly happy to go back to the referee if we couldn't get a better solution for how VAR works for the rest of it. It's too
Ding ding
subjective at the moment.
ding. I
Yeah,
would
sorry.
I would delete VAR except for semi-automated or any form of video reviews.
Yeah.
Except for offsides, semi-automated offsides only.
Hmm.
And goal line technology. Everything else, leave it up to the 4 officials that are on the field to act as grown and take their own decisions. And let the fans debate, but learn that there is injustice in life and move on. Villa won 6-1 against Brighton. It's another one of those very weird results that you didn't see coming, where just teams that are similar to each other win by massive margins, and it's weird. It was such a weird game as well. Like Brighton won the XG, won the field tilt, won the possession battle. Didn't win the game, have they? Got battered.
Yeah, not quite sharing your opinion on the optimism on Aston Villa, Ali. I've got to kind of be true to form here and just bash Villa a little bit. No, like, listen, they've had some good results. They are going to be hard to beat at Villa Park. I think their performances there this season have shown that. As you said, like, kind of the actual metrics of the game suggested it was a lot more even, although Villa were 3-0 up very quickly, so it's a little bit misleading. I think what you see with Emery is he definitely usually gets the most out of the number 9 playing for him, and I think you see that with Watkins at the minute. I mean, it's quite funny actually. In one of my Twitter group chats, it was sort of because on the Saturday Social on Sky Sports they were sort of ranking Premier League strikers, and they were really big on Ollie Watkins, and I was sort of like, well, I think he's good, but he's just kind of a bog standard mid-table, Premier League striker, and wow. Yeah, I've learned not to open my mouth on these things because far from the first time I've looked a bit foolish. But he was very good. I think Bailey obviously looks a good pickup. Not Bailey. Diaby looks a good pickup for them, and they are going to be good this season. Like I'm not quite seeing fifth. I think that the squad depth isn't quite there to maintain the kind of the Thursday Sundays all season, but. I think they could do well in the Conference League, and I think you also see with Brighton, this isn't the first time that, yes, their football's great and they're exceeding expectations, and it's fantastic. But let's have it right. As much as De Zerbi's doing a great job, some of the results he's had, like you would not be afforded those at certain big clubs without significant repercussions. You can't lose 5-1 at home to Everton, 6-1 at Villa Park. In the way they have done as well, looking so open, like they can concede nearly every attack. As much as they play pretty football and nice patterns, and it's good that they play short on every goal kick. I mean, good for them. But
yeah,
I think you can't be getting drubbed every few weeks and sort of. Well, I suppose as Brighton you can. I think that's the thing. It's kind of relative to expectations, but maybe just a bit of a leveler of kind of where they are.
I think if Brighton got. I would love to ask a Brighton fan, how many drubbings would you take if you still got European football?
Yeah,
I would say whatever is mathematically possible. I would say their answer is
no. It's true. I think it's more of
as long as it's not Palace. Probably it would be another answer.
It's I think it's more of a De Zerbi point, I suppose, than a Brighton, because you're right. Like relative expectations, Brighton are massively overachieving, and they would probably take 7 or 8 drubbings a season if it meant that they could finish in the top half and challenge for Europe. But I think when people sort of go, well, De Zerbi, could be the next Man City manager, or he could manage anyone in the top 6. Like, he's doing a great job. They're playing great football, but maybe just a little bit of an eye opener as to exactly how translatable that would be at sort of a top club with high expectations.
I think it would be very well translated. I think the main weakness with De Zerbi's tactics is that sometimes, like if a team is pressing them actually like overwhelmingly to the point where the intent is to allow as little space as possible for passes, like Villa did, because the whole point is attract the press, pass through it. But if you have non-elite players to do that, sometimes you'll get caught by presses that are quick and that are done by really fast midfielders and forwards, like Ollie Watkins, like Moussa Diaby, or really hard-working ones like John McGinn. Kamara's fairly quick as well. Douglas Luiz is one of the Premier League's best DMs. So playing like through that is going to be quite difficult, especially for starting Jack Hinchelwood. Like, credit to the guy. He's a good young midfielder. I suppose that's getting first team opportunities now, but I think it would be very well translated in a Man City who just have really good passers all over the pitch, as opposed to Brighton, who do it fairly well, obviously, but just will sometimes get caught out.
Brighton's midfield looked very lightweight up against like Douglas Luiz, as you said, and Kamara. Like, they're two sturdy midfielders that are great on the ball as well, have all the quality, and you're up against Gilmore and then what's his name?
Jack
Hinchelwood.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard of him until he played. I don't know if that was I assume that was his first Premier League start. I could be wrong though, because
I think it was. I did hear about him for the first time in preseason when they came to the US. I think he played a part in that Chelsea game, but didn't notice him much. Not as much as like a Cesare Casadei.
But that's a really tough first game to be chucked into with like Villa and such.
Yeah, it's a baptism of fire.
Yeah.
Really.
But I wonder, are Brighton starting to be worked out?
No, I don't think so. Everyone knows how they play, but it's the key is either to sit off entirely and just hope they don't like pop it through you. This was an off day for Brighton, just like in terms of playing through the press. But the other key is, if you are going to press, you may want to make sure you not close players down, but close channels down. But that will also come down to Brighton's actual off-ball movement. If they make themselves available in the right spots, given the opposition press, then it's easier for Brighton to pass between each other. But it's quite valuable.
I think there's a couple of players that you can now start to target for Brighton. I wasn't too keen on Van de Heck or Van Heck.
Van Hecke? My boy is Van Hecke.
I watched that
camp
for the preseason game against Chelsea. He had a howler.
Oh yeah.
And ever since then, he's just never quite done it for me. And they're always looking to get Colwell, if they could have done, from Chelsea. So that makes me just think that they're always looking for another centre back, as well as the Igor that they brought in. Maybe Igor comes into the team and becomes. Is it Igor?
Yeah, it was just the way you called him, the Igor.
The Igor.
Yeah. But if he comes into the team and he maybe he'll grow into that role and then become the second choice as the season goes on. Brighton do like to ease players in. Maybe he'll become that. But interesting to see.
Manchester United continue to be one of the funnier Premier League teams, losing 1-0 to Crystal Palace. I don't know what's more depressing for them. The fact that they lost again at Old Trafford, again to just like a random team. Well,
it's an average.
Five, not just exactly. 5 on the trot. Big Roy has.
Yeah, yeah.
5 on the trot is unbelievable.
Absolutely. How tall is he? How tall is he? Hold on.
Oh, he's tall. Roy Hudson's a tall fella. But you know who is short? And we'll come on to him. Is Gary O'Neill.
Oh, We'll come on.
So we
to
As,
can have
you know,
Gary O'Neill as short king of the week.
I have a
as
different thought.
nominated by myself last season.
Yeah, there you go.
Just want to point it out as well. Like, I know we're not going to talk about it, but like Bournemouth look absolutely terrible since getting they're awful. Ali, that shout is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Gary O'Neill was working minor miracles with that squad. Jesus Christ.
This it's I don't know what's looking worse, Brentford. Bournemouth or
Burnley.
The Burnley shout is especially
Burnley got all of us.
Yeah, they did. But whatever.
That's what happens. That's what you get whenever you get rid of a short king. You get
Exactly.
you get what goes around comes around.
Desserts.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, just desserts.
back to my point though. I don't know what's more depressing for Man United. It's great to see what's happening there. The fact that they lost again at Old Trafford to just a middling team, with respect, or the fact that there was someone posted a video on Twitter of how like the roof was leaking because it was heavily raining. It was just like
didn't even see
dropping
that.
rain all over him, and it's just like I can only imagine how they feel right now, like the actual match going fans. About just the general toxicity within the team and with the experience overall of going there from an infrastructure standpoint for one of the biggest clubs in the world.
They'll
It's
need to bring
awful.
they'll need to make what do you call it? Norwich ponchos now for going to the game.
Orange ponchos. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
The waterproof ponchos you get with orangey yellow one of those.
Yeah.
I'll get them sorted.
Yeah, green and yellow ones. Yeah, they lose again. When does he go then? When is the point? Tonight.
Yeah.
You know what? If Chelsea go above Man United at any point, then that's a problem.
Can they go above them? How many points are Chelsea on? 7.
So Chelsea right now are on 6 points. Manchester United are on 9.
Man United are on 9.
Theoretically, if Chelsea win 3-0 today, they go level.
That's
make up the
very
difference.
optimistic, but you know,
if they do, it's totally it's not impossible. But what's totally doable is if Chelsea go above Man United this season at some point in the very near future. Yeah, that was mad.
It says it all. That's depressing for me. That our measures for success is can we beat Man United at the moment? And I'm more confident things are on the turn for Chelsea. We're not going to talk about them. United have a decent run for a couple of games, and then they've got they seem to have a couple of games on, a couple of games off, and their fixtures aren't too badly spaced out. Galatasaray at home tomorrow or tonight, if you're listening to the day this podcast comes out.
Very smooth.
There you go. Nearly cocked it up, but got there in the end. But yeah, that'll be a big game. If they lose that, the pressure will be really on because you have to win those games.
Absolutely. You know who had to win a game and didn't? They had to win. Everton. Lose to Luton Town. The easiest fixture of the season. And if that doesn't tell you that they 100% are just prime relegation material, I don't know what will.
I don't know if they're ever going to win another home game.
They might never win another game at Goodison Park.
I think you're underestimating
they're moving
the
after this season, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they might.
Oh, yeah.
How funny would that? They go the full last season at Goodison without winning a single game. I mean, they've blown some pretty easy fixtures as well. Like obviously, with the exception of us, they've played Wolves, Fulham, and Luton, which they're 3 of the sort of 6 or 7 teams you'd expect to be like right down there. Obviously, alongside them.
Yeah.
It's not great, is it?
Prime relegation material.
What I would say, Ali, though, is I wouldn't underestimate the impact of starting Chidozie Ogbene 2 games in a row.
Amazing.
Both games they've started,
Yeah.
The other game was against Wolves. They got a point. And Wolves that just beat Man City. So Wolves are clearly very good,
Yeah.
even though they had a man down in that game. And then coming up against Everton, you just how can you measure Luton whenever they've got Ogbene? I would give it a few more games. Maybe it'll turn out to be an unlucky result. Everton might take a loss against Luton once Ogbene really
Places the
gets
gear.
going. He's 4 points from 2 games so far, Chido's Ogbene. And then they have their next game is against Burnley as well, which is
And
a
Everton's
pretty
next
huge game.
game is against Bournemouth. What a weekend.
No, Luton Burnley's tonight, Ali.
Oh, Luton Burnley is tonight.
It's a midweek
That's true.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You see the
Champions
cogs
League night.
turning.
Well, yeah. Everton play Bournemouth as well on this Saturday. And then they play Liverpool at Anfield. So, massive couple weeks coming for Everton,
Huge.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Speaking of Wolves, they beat Manchester City, of course. That's the first beat of the season for City, which Liverpool ultimately could have leapfrogged and went into top spot, but we move. I would like to give Short King of the Week, and we'll end on this, just for the sake of time. I would give Short King of the Week to Pedro Neto again, just because of his goal.
I just to point out in that game, it was a great game for the Short Kings. You had He-Chan, who maybe borderline Short King, but then you also had Alvarez, definite Short King, getting a goal, and then on top of that,
Straight free kick. Obviously.
Ruben Diaz, own goal. He's really tall, so it was great to see him getting. Great to see him getting an own goal.
Yeah.
Great one for the Short Kings. So
Amazing.
then Gary O'Neill came out on top. I'm going to go Gary O'Neill because I backed Wolves at the start of the season, and I said Bournemouth curse you for getting rid of the Short King Gary O'Neill and getting in a tall fella from Spain. So I'm going to say Gary O'Neill.
I'm happy to go with
that.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that. I would have given it to Pedro Neto because it's a great run. It's a great run.
And
goal that
Bournemouth
caused an own goal for a tall fella.
Wolves are 4 points ahead of Bournemouth as things stand. So there you go.
There you go.
Winless Bournemouth. Struggling.
Amazing TikTok. Shout out Josh Peach, who's he's an FM streamer that I know well. And he's the TikTok admin or like TikTok. Admin. Is it? Is that the term? Anyway, the content creator for them. The TikTok for Wolves TikTok. He's like a videographer there, and the TikTok that came out was great because Guardiola referred to He-Chan as the Korean guy, didn't he?
He did.
Right.
I don't know. TikTok. Do we have time just on TikTok? We didn't cover it. I don't know if we should or not, but the Osimhen stuff.
Oh yeah, go for it, please.
Since we're on TikTok, like that is just like if he actually doesn't leave in January, I
don't think he will. Actually, he came out with a statement of like, hey, I don't know what the exact statement is. I can pull it up, but it seems like they actually fired the TikTok creator from the Napoli. Yeah, right. I think they fired him. And Osimhen obviously had a bad couple of days, and the game after he scored and didn't celebrate. But I think the fans were showing support and had like Osimhen banners and stuff like that. But he did come out with a statement shortly after, and I can pull it up right now from his Twitter page. But then, beforehand he deleted all his.
But it is just to talk on it though. Like there's the one with mentions coconut, and it's just like ridiculously racist, blatantly racist. Like there's no like it's just a joke gone wrong or any rubbish like that. It's so racist. And then on top of that, like even on a minor level, the other TikTok is just taking the piss out of him for missing a penalty. Like even that alone is just like, why are you trying to slag off your your star player that helped you win your first Scudetto in 30 odd years. It is bonkers. I don't like it, whoever like it just kind of makes me think that like whoever was running that TikTok account, their targets are clearly like get as many views as you want at all costs. I don't see how a sort of healthy environment and targets it creates that sort of content. If you don't if it's more about let's be positive and stuff like that, clearly they must have just been like get whatever clicks and ratings and whatever. What's going to catch the most eyes? Whatever it is, because that's the only way that sort of toxic content comes out, in my opinion.
It's
that and the person being racist clearly as well.
Yeah.
Blatant. It's blatant, isn't it? But I think they got rid of that individual or set of individuals involved. He posted a statement: coming to the city of Naples in 2020 was a wonderful decision for me. The people of Naples have shown me so much love and kindness. I will not allow anyone to come between us. It's like a message of unity.
That's very big of him.
Yeah, the passion of the people of Naples fuels my fire to always play with my heart and soul, and the love for the badge is unwavering as I wear it with pride. The accusation against the people of Naples are untrue. Because obviously, social media discourse, Napoli people or Napoli fans are racist. I have a lot of friends that are Napolitans. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, sorry. And have become part of my family and everyday life. I appreciate Nigerians and everyone for lending their voices to support and reach out to me. Thanks so much. I'm forever grateful. Let's continue to spread unity, respect, and understanding. Forza Napoli sempre. Sempre. There you go. So he's kind of resurfaced, reinvigorated his commitment to Napoli, which I think, having... Of course, they will have resolved that issue internally. I think is the best case scenario to kind of put it to the side and move on with it. And it's good for all involved. Okay, we've ordered our short king of the week. We've recorded for a while. It's a long, eventful episode, boys. We need to do tabs on Tammy very soon because Roma are struggling. Oh, happy birthday to Tammy Abraham. He turns 26 today. There you go.
Yes.
Wow.
He's not getting a lot of game time. Romelu Lukaku is the one getting all the game time at the moment, and he scored in their last game. They finally won a football match. Mourinho's third season at a football club is going badly. Shock. And
Never seen that one before.
Absolutely not. But no, they are struggling. But we need to talk about them soon. They play Servette in the Europa League this Thursday. So we'll see how that kind of goes. But as a quick status update, they are 13th. They have won 2 games from the opening 7 fixtures. They have 8 points. They are 5 away from relegation. They are already 10 points away from top spot, which is occupied by Inter and Milan. Classic Milanese title race there, but we'll talk about that soon. I'm pretty sure. Okay, thanks, boys. Thanks for bearing with the connection issues. They've had to edit through. We've started recording literally an hour ago, but I'll have to do a lot of editing tonight. Anyway, go to the description. Find us on everywhere on social media. And follow us, I guess, on all of those. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop a like if you've reached this point. Congratulations. And there will be a superlatives for the month of September dropping very, very soon. Sorry I have been slacking with the short form content. Thank you for subscribing. We've hit 100 Twitter followers now. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Triple digits, baby.
What a moment.
Amazing. Yeah, we did it this morning.
How many bots are in there?
How many bots are there? I don't think there are any, to be honest.
Wow. That's more of an achievement in itself.
100 genuine short kings and queens. However tall or short you are. If you watch or listen to Just Another Football Podcast.
To be a short king at heart.
You're a short king or queen at heart. You're here. You're right here. Okay. Catch you soon, guys. See you on the flip side. All being well. And cheers. I guess. Oh, what a day.
How many ways did you say goodbye there at the end, Ollie?
I have to count them.
It's said about 10 different ways of saying goodbye. Just say goodbye.